everybody, and welcome back to Broad Subjects and my personal diary, I guess. My name is Zachary Ronaldo, better known online as Zach the Bold. And today, I've read the comments. I know what people want. I know what people need. And we're only talking about D&D today. And you know what? I think I'm double checking. I'm getting a little paranoid that I haven't exactly looked at to see if I'm recording. I am. I can see it on the monitor. This podcast is made so that you can watch it with two people. One, I'm looking at you, the main viewer, the main listener. For those at home, I'm looking at the camera. See, this is an audio podcast as well. And then you watch it with a friend, and I look at the monitor. That's over here. It's right here. And so that's your friend right there. This is D&D podcast, strictly. I don't talk about anything, but I want to say before we start, I went to the local deli and I got a California Reuben. What a lie. What a lie that sandwich is. California Reuben. For all those who don't know, a Reuben is pastrami and a Thousand Island and sauerkraut. And it's a beautiful tapestry of everything God made to be in one sandwich. I'm getting a call. And it's the best sandwich in the world. And you hear about Kat's Deli and when Harry met Sally. And it's a beautiful, wonderful thing. And I'm going to be 50. I'm going to have kids and a wife. And they're going to expect me to say, there's a Reuben on this menu. And I want a big Coors Light. I want a big PBR. And it made my stomach hurt. So a California Reuben is a demon bastard of a homunculus of a regular Reuben. I ordered it. It said California Reuben. I don't know. Maybe they put avocado on it. I can take it off, whatever. I didn't read what was on it. It is turkey and coleslaw. It is everything that stands for chaos. This is a Skaven sandwich. This is a sandwich Skaven would eat, and it's churning in my stomach. What a lie. California Reuben. They asked me if I wanted it on sourdough or rye. The only thing holding this sandwich together that's even remotely like a Reuben is that it's on rye. What a lie. I can't even write it off. Didn't even talk. Maybe I can now. Can I now that I talk about it on the podcast? Some IRS workers slaving away. They're the only person left in their office looking. They have to watch my videos. The table's creaking more now. Welcome back. It has been an uneventful week as compared to the last two. All right. 2 weeks before, I got a letter notarized, and the one before then, or the one after that, I went to Gen Con and experienced Kokomo, Indiana, which I have a comment about. Someone who knows social studies and geography and maybe a local or whatever made this comment. Kokomo, Indiana is very similar to Flint, Michigan. I don't even want to continue reading the comment. That's awesome. Great. Oh, I didn't realize they're in a time of economic disparity, and their civil workers, their municipal workers don't care about them. And I roll into Kokomo, Indiana, a place that's off the grid, just got generated. That's mean to say. Some people spent their whole lives in Kokomo, Indiana. They might be, across seas. They might be in Spain. They might be they're in a house in Spain, and it's lovely. And it's always nice weather there. I've never been outside the U.S. Sorry. Hey, update, I haven't. All right, the opportunity hasn't arisen. It has. That's a different story. And they're off somewhere else. And they're looking out, and they see someone. They look outside, and there's a kid. And there's a couple of kids hanging around, and they're playing soccer, or, they're eating a candy bar. And they notice on the back of the candy bar, there's a Dollar General logo. It's somehow, some way, fate has made it so that there's a Dollar General logo on the back of that candy bar. And he's looking out, and the moon is hitting his face. This is a time jump. And all he can think of is Kokomo, Indiana, and going back home and making the decision of, is nostalgia worth the price of the future? And he thinks about his family back at home. And when he goes back to visit his mom's hair is a little bit more gray. And he notices that his dad's aging. And he thinks back to Kokomo. And then I show up, and I'm like, oh, Kokomo, Indiana? The Midwestern amalgamation of everything that has taken this corporate lifeless entity out into Kokomo, and it sucks. And one day, I can watch my own children play. And they'll grow up, and they'll be wherever life takes them, and they'll look back at me and say, one day in Barcelona. Yeah, good luck to me thinking about literally any other. I don't know geography. I can point at a map, and I can tell you where my local game store is. That's about it. So thanks, now that I'm the bad guy in this situation, there is a slight update. Listen, I don't want to harass, even if it's a big corporate conglomerate owned by BlackRock, whatever, right? I don't want to harass anybody. But listen, there was an update to, I'm going to pull out my phone. No one yell at me. We did get an update. Corporate emailed me back, and I posted on my Instagram story, and it said the following. Please note this email is being generated. I might put it on the screen. Please note this email is being generated on behalf of La Quinta Inn and Suites by Wyndham Kokomo. Dear Zach, sorry for all the issues you had with the property. Sincerely, La Quinta Inn and Suites by Wyndham Kokomo. And then that's when I was like, all right, that's enough. Like, if I'm not hearing back from the general manager and they're telling me that I'm a jerk because I brought it to corporate and now it's a full thing that's going through 70 different people, that I literally just need an email saying that they will refund me for my first night so I can send that to Expedia and get it. That's literally all I need. So then I post on my story, right? And then I have literally La Quinta's, they see that I have some form of clout, whatever, which sucks because for the little guy who's staying at La Quinta, they don't care. Like, it doesn't matter for them. Like, they're probably not going to swipe up on their story. They got 1,000 of those a day. So because I want to stand up for the little guy, I tag La Quinta into my story, and they respond to me, and guess what they say? If you don't hear from us by the 10th, please message us again. Well, at least I now have a date. However, I don't want to keep harassing a small town, struggling management team, right? I just want my refund for the first night when I was in a fire hazard. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. If you haven't noticed, and if you have not watched yet, a new episode of the series I have yet to name has dropped. It's a mix of like the Office style shooting and follows three adventurers and one DM as they explore old advanced Dungeons and Dragons modules. And it was about this module called Child's Play. It was very fun, very convoluted. Oh, such a slog to read. People are like, this must take so much time to go through. And the biggest part is like reading through that stuff. The Forest Oracle was like, had really funny moments in it, like just some really weird stuff. And Child's Play had some really funny moments. But like the rest of the stuff, like there are 26 pages. 26 to 31 pages in these adventures, and a lot of it's boring, and I have to read it, I think I've read both of those guys like upwards of 10 to 12 times, front to back, because a lot of them are hard to follow. It doesn't make sense, right? I've had to rewrite the scripts like multiple times, and there's a lot of context I had to take out, which doesn't inherently make the adventure better. Like, I still have to explain to you through the DM's eyes what is happening. I'm just trying to explain to you as if you are the player as well. So, it was a lot of fun. I think the video came out great. That's what I've been doing all week. After we got back from Gen Con, I shot, I think 2 or 3 more things for that video. But listen, I do everything for those videos. I acted them clearly. I write them. I do all the research for them. I edit them. I edit all of them. And the reason for that is because, listen, I understand I am a big up-and-comer, I would say now like established in the community. And I have a lot of followers for such a niche that we have and everything, and especially for only doing this for a year and a half. But you guys have to remember, like, I'm coming into this, and my popularity is coming from short-form content, right? So I still have to gain your trust by making good long-form videos, and I will put in the effort, even if the returns are diminishing, so that I can gain your guys' trust. But at the same time, financially, it does not make, I'm paying my thumbnail artist already, and I'm putting in the hours. Like, the returns are already so low on the long form videos that it doesn't make sense for me to hire an editor yet. It really doesn't, because, getting a smaller amount of views and stuff, and this is my most popular series and everything, right? Sorry, not this. The podcast is awesome. Technically, it is my most successful series. It's my most consistent series, and I love all of you that watch it. Thank you so much. And you know that when I meet you, and I say, we love a podcast listener. But yeah, listen, I will continue editing them until, it makes financial sense to have an editor. And I don't mind editing it, really. I did it really stupid this time around. What I had done is I had taken all of the clips from like one character and put them in the timeline. And I took, dude, some of you guys who edit are going to be like, what? What? Because I didn't want to go in chronological order, because the last video I made, I did that, and it took forever. Well, guess what? This took like 3 times the amount of time, because not only did I have to put everything in the timeline, I then had to readjust the timeline and move everything, and then some things got deleted, so I had to keep making backups. But I'm getting better, and eventually I will have an editor. But, let me be honest. I have been doing this for 1.5 years, which is not a crazy long time at all. But it is the fact that I've had full creative control for this channel since the beginning, till college, since the beginning. And listen, it takes a village to make a film. And at some point, I will have to give up some of these liberties that I have over, editing and at some point, if I want to make something better, right, it's going to be hard to break that line of, do I do a Jack and Jill situation? Do I do where I still play everything? And because at a certain point, I want to get to a level where if the returns are so nice and I can take all that and invest it back into the channel, I want to make better and better stuff. But I think there's just a point where if the video looks so good, it will break people's immersion for me to be all the characters. And I don't know what that looks like. Maybe it'll be a new series. Maybe it'll be a new thing. And I think maybe if I have another, for those who have been following the channel for a little bit, one of my most consistent series, one of the only short form series I have, is me and a friend of mine, Johnny Stanton IV, former NFL player, current amazing guy working in the TTRPG space and Magic and card game space, I should say. And the thing is that was a very Letterkenny, Trailer Park Boys. And as we know from the pod, I'm a Midwestern guy. We love the Midwest. And I want to make something like that, right? I think there is a big, I think there is a spot for D&D being a comfort show that isn't centered around D&D, but is one of the main focal points. And I don't want to be all the characters for that. And as the channel grows, the table's creaking, man. And as the channel grows, I want to be able to, give up those roles to other people, and that's how it's been done from the dawn of time. I can't always. The reason our verisimilitude, our willingness to disbelieve that I am each character, is because there is kind of an extent to my filmmaking process, right? It is still, you still give up that disbelief. But the reason Jack and Jill doesn't work so well, right? It's because it's a full film. And if I want to make something, larger than myself and whatever, I'm sure I can still do that in my YouTube series. But I want to continue to yearn and make better art. And eventually I have to give that up. I have to give up those creative freedoms and allow other peoples to express themselves in my art. And it's a scary thing for me, but eventually I will get an editor, and I don't know what that will look like. And I just so you guys know, I don't memorize these lines I do, right? All of the DM interviews and everything, I don't have a script up. I memorize them. Did I just say I don't memorize them? I guess I do for that. What I'm saying is I don't memorize the script. I guess I do memorize it like a normal film. I'm in the theater mindset, right? Where you memorize a whole script, but that's not how film works, right? In some ways it does, in some ways it doesn't. A good example of this is who is the actress who played Ramona Flowers. And that's not a dig to this actress. I literally don't know anyone's names. Mary Elizabeth Winstead. When she opened up that scene in Scott Pilgrim, they wanted to put the script of all the teas that she had in the cupboard so she could just read it off, but she wanted to memorize it. That's the stuff in film you can do, right? You can get away with that. Not memorizing and putting the sheet up. So what I'm saying is I do it a lot more like film. But I don't read a script except when I'm reading the book, right? I don't want to. That's stupid. If I'm reading it as the character, I want to read it as I save myself some work, right? But eventually, I will get to getting an editor and things like that, and allowing myself to give up creative freedom, and so I can allow other people's expression and ideas into my framework that I use to tell stories. Anyways, thank you for the love on that video. A lot of comments. Okay, let me say this. A lot of comments are talking about the thumbnail being, I don't even know what the words they use are. Yuri? They're furry, I don't know, furry yonder, something. They're using these words I don't know, and I'm not looking up what they mean. But listen, it's nothing sexual, okay? My artist did a great job. And I don't know what you guys are so disgusting about, okay? What does that mean? So good to know. I go, wow, cool Knowles. How good. And all my comments are like, I thought this was going to be. It's YouTube. What did you think it was going to be? Cool to see that the video's doing great. I will continue to do that. We have more. We have a lot more. It's such a busy month. More short form and everything, but I'm doing the podcast today, and I'm taking the rest of the day off. I'm tired, and I'm exhausted. And it's just been, I'm looking over to make sure I stay on track. I go on a lot of tangents. I speak a lot to a lot of stuff. Oh man, my head's buzzing. You know, I think, and that's, so I spent, I don't even know how many hours I've spent working on that last video this last week. It was a lot. It was a lot. And of course, a lot of that is writing the script, but the script was done like a while ago. But it's been a lot of nights staying up till 3:30 a.m. And I think I want to say I think I'm learning something about myself in some capacity, right? Before all of this happened, 2 years ago, right, I'm working at a Gold's Gym in Hollywood. And if you know anything about the Gold's Gym in Hollywood, it is a war zone. That place is the busiest gym I've ever been to in my entire life. And I was an employee there. I was a front desk worker. And I would fold towels literally 8 hours a day. And I'd have to kick people out of the gym because they'd be doing crazy stuff in the sauna. Let me be honest, okay? It's the Gold's Gym in Hollywood. So I literally have to do that. I've seen things you couldn't even imagine. Hand jobs off the shoulder of Orion. And it was a lot. But at that time, you know, I remember the stress of being like, what am I doing with my life? What am I going to do? I have no acting prospects, or I do a lot of background, but like, at what point do I call it, right? And that happens for a lot of actors and a lot of artists in their life, and you never do. You never have to call it, right? This is your life. This is what you're going to do. And my goal was like, maybe if I get to 27, and then, you know, base the merit off that and whatever. And it's not. You should not set, you know, maybe if you want, right, have an idea of a backup. But life is also not just about goals and achieving things. And it's such an overused saying of being like, don't, you know, it's about journey, not destination. And that's very true, right? And my goalposts are always moving. And even as someone who has grown in the space and is doing something they love for a living and everything, it's still hard to be in the moment and enjoy that, you know, the things that you have and whatever. What were we talking about? So I'm stopping people from giving each other hand jobs at the Gold's Gym in Hollywood in the sauna. True story. Not even one story, a million, right? It's a big thing that happens. And during that time, a lot of stuff that would take my mind off of it is I was incredibly healthy. I was tracking every calorie that I ate. I was getting a lot of sun. I was working out for like 2 hours a day. It was like my life was about my health, and that is what scratched the part of my brain to be like, it's okay. You're doing something. At least you have this, right? Maybe you can be a model. Maybe you can be, and listen, I never wanted to be a model, but maybe you can do this. It'll give you better acting prospects and whatever. And recently, after staying up till 3:30 a.m. and my eyes are bloodshot and I look like a ghoul, right? And I've had one meal a day. It's been for my factor. I've had my one factor meal of the day. And I think I'm coming to the terms of like, maybe that's who I was supposed to be. I'm fighting against it, right? I'm supposed to be like L from Death Note. We all know I have bags under my eyes that make me look like I haven't slept in a year, right? And that's who I am. I'm supposed to be the guy that every time you see me, be like, whoa, Zach, are you all right? Is everything okay? I already get those DMs. They've actually stopped since I've been calling it out on the podcast. So where's Zach? Oh, he's been working 80 hours on a video. He's actually thriving. He's actually exactly where he's at. I'm supposed to be like Matthew McConaughey in True Detective. Like that's what I'm supposed to be smoking a cigarette. Okay, let me preface. I said this with Diane Antwoord. Like 5 episodes ago, I was like, I listened to Diane Antwoord. I said, I don't know if they're anything controversial. There were comments that are like, oh, buddy. And I was like, oh, shit. So I haven't finished True Detective yet, all right? So I don't know how much of a bad character he is. But that's me, right? I'm smoking cigarettes. That's like, it's going to be 4 episodes from now, and I'm going to be strung out of my mind, and I can't grow facial hair because I have keratosis pilaris. But I've strung out, my hair's all the way up. I'm cutting a beer can with a knife, and I put a little model. I think that's what I'm meant to be as. I don't think I was meant for the healthy life. I wasn't made for the turkey coleslaw Reuben. That's not for me, right? I'm supposed to be hunched over, my knees to my chest on my chair, and I'm supposed to have terrible posture. And I'm supposed to be wiry, like a little insect. And every time I'm sitting on a boat, my eyes are wide open and people are trying to talk at me. And I'm seeing psychedelic waves. I think I've come across that revelation. I'm supposed to be a person addicted to their work and never go outside and never work out. That's why I'm so tired, right? I got a good night's sleep last night. And yesterday, I got barely any. So the night before then, I got barely any. And I was wired. And I could feel the hair growing out of my arms. And I was driving. And I could see every leaf and the wind blowing. That's who I'm supposed to be. Figuring out a murder case. Instead, I've been eating well, waking up and getting 8 hours of sleep, getting up at an adequate time and going to the gym. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. It's a rough one out here, for sure. So that's what I've been dealing with this week, as opposed to harassing Kokomo and management, and instead of going to a notary. But yeah, that's what it was. I also want to bring up another thing, and this is kind of D&D related, all right? If I hear one more person tell me Heroes of Arcadia, not sponsored, is not a good drinking game, I'm going to lose my mind. And their argument is this, right? Zach, Heroes of Arcadia won't get you drunk. That is not the point of the... Okay. Well, Zach, it is the point of the game. Let's go to beer pong, right? You're there, you've been playing beer pong for 12 hours. You are an insane person if you actually put beer in the cups and drink it after you make it. Those balls are disgusting. Don't quote me on that. Don't clip that. Those pong balls are flying around the room. Do you see the water in the cup after you do it? Well, Zach, no, you're actually supposed to drink a full beer after you make a cup. Who does that? I'm sorry. What am I, a freshman at a fraternity? I've never once played a game of beer pong where you actually drink a full beer or half a beer or whatever. That's vile. I can see for Flip Cup, maybe. But when you're playing Heroes of Arcadia, when you're playing Not Enough Mana, you're supposed to be drinking another drink. Well, then, Zach, it's the rules. Zach, you can play any board game and whatever. I'm talking about drinking games. Yes, you can drink for whatever game. I don't care. I'm saying if we're talking about drinking games, Heroes of Arcadia, not sponsored, is best. Because it's an actual game that has an element of drinking integrated into it. You also drink at the same time. It doesn't mean, of course you're not getting drunk on your Heroes of Arcadia Life bar, not sponsored. It's warm. It's warmer than the room. How is that even possible? Because I've been nursing it in my hot, sweaty hands. I'm moving it around the board. And these Einsteins in my comment section are like, well, actually, Zach, just play Catan and drink. It's a better game. I don't get drunk when I play Heroes of Arcadia. Wow. Did you crack the case or what? No, duh. You're supposed to be drinking another drink. What is the mint flavored alcohol? That's an digestif. Either way, I ordered like the equivalent of like Fireball the other night at a bar and said it was a digestif to the bartender. What is wrong with me? This is maybe I don't have any credibility, right? Maybe that throws it out of the way. I'm drinking the equivalent of like Screwball whiskey, being like, this is a popular digestif, thinking that it's a totally different alcohol. Oh my God, man. What is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? That's why I need to be inside editing for 70 hours. Chain smoking, drinking, Chicago handshakes. If anyone doesn't know what that is, it's Old Town beer. Old Town beer? Sorry, guys, my brain is degenerating. Old Town beer. This is not it. Oh, my God! Chicago. I'm giving away my credibility. Handshake. There's Old Style. Did I say Old Town? It's Old Style beer and Malort. And Malort's not that bad. Malort is like the Nickelback of like alcohol. And I don't like Nickelback, so that's a bad thing. But I feel like it's hated more on because it's cool. It's funny and cool to hate on it, right? And you take a shot of Malort, you're like, oh, but the internet told me it was bad. Yeah. All right, buddy. Have a Chicago handshake and talk to me, all right? It's bitter. And then they'll have something like, a bitter digestif. And they'll be like, oh, it's herbal. It's good. I'm taking shots of Malort, right? And it rocks. Whatever. The table is creaking. Okay. What are we talking about? Yeah, so about the drinking games, okay? I don't know what you guys are doing for drinking games, but I'm sick of being like, I'm not 15, all right? I'm not a 15-year-old drinking, and I do not promote underage drinking, all right? I did it, and I learned from it, okay? I learned that you shouldn't do it until you're 21. But I'm not, well, Zach, it's not a drinking game. Dude, I'm literally decaying. It's 12. It's 12. Someone said on the podcast when I was talking about my buddy's bachelor party that I was I was complaining about drinking with my friends like my steak has too much peppercorn on it. It's too good. my steak is cooked too good. Another update. Unironically, an update. It is D&D related. Last episode, I talked about how there has been an initiative to reach out to creators from Wizards, and I did this awesome G-Man impression. You guys loved it. You guys thought it was the best G-Man impression in the entire world. From Half-Life, of course. And there was a moment where I read an article that Wizards seems that they were going to start reaching out to creators. And I said, we'll see about that. I can't say anything yet, but what I can say is that they did. And I was wrong. And I did see about that. So then in any capacity, from what I can tell you right now, they did reach out to me. So there are, in some way, at least for me personally, right? This is the biggest change that I've seen in Wizards in the last year and a half. So new things on the horizon. Not glazing. I just wanted to make sure that I'm transparent. So if you guys ever see me work with Wizards, right? You can be like, well, wasn't Zach just saying they weren't going to reach out to him? Well, guess what? They did. So there you go. I asked you guys last time about a low fantasy system, something a little bit more brutal. And I think I'm going with Zweihander, which I thought was from the Giant Dad build from Dark Souls 1. Shout out. Shout out. I think I'm going to go with that. The problem is it's impossible to find a book. I think the only one that's left is on Amazon, and it's used, and I haven't bought it yet. I don't know why. Head's buzzing. I got too much sleep. I'm feeling a little too healthy today. See, I wish I had not slept at all last night. And I'm not encouraging that for you. I'm saying this is an introspection I did. It was an introspection. You know, I was at a local theater show watching My Fair Lady. You know, buzzing out of my mind. I knew everything that was going on in the show. I memorized every lyric. I was experiencing ego death in the second act at the community center watching My Fair Lady, a local rendition of My Fair Lady. And I was experiencing ego death because I'm like, I get it. I see what they're saying. Zach, what about My Fair Lady express your experience ego death? I took ayahuasca in Joshua Tree. I get it. That's for some people. Me, I see my local rendition of My Fair Lady. But my head's buzzing, and it's just like, what are you doing? So that's been the updates with all of that. But yeah, it's been great. Thank you for the support on the channel. Thank you for the support on the last video. Oh my God. And you know what? I'm going to stop prefacing this. This is about Zach the Bold content. Let's talk a little bit about content, and you know, it inherently relates to D&D because I make D&D content. Okay. I was the most frustrated I had ever been on Tuesday because I had put out a short form video, and for about 4 or 5 hours, I was in After Effects. And I hate After Effects. I'm proficient in it. I got my Linda degree certification in After Effects. No longer exists. I think it's LinkedIn Learning. Ugh. How does no one talk about that? It doesn't matter. And every time I use After Effects, it just sucks. And I have an awful time, and it never works the same way twice. For 5 hours, I was working on not the effect that you saw, because in one of my short forms, I look up and I have milky white eyes. It's supposed to be like Warging from Game of Thrones. But what I looked up was a tutorial, a 25-minute tutorial, which anyone who knows if they look up an After Effects tutorial and it's longer than 7 minutes, it's going to be a 19-hour endeavor. And you're going to hate it. And at some point, it's going to bring in plugins, and you're going to look up the plugins, and they're $1 million. They're $1,000 billion. And they go, hey, you can use this plugin, or you can do it by yourself. And then you're like, okay, well, I'll do it by myself. I don't want to spend $1 billion. I don't have to refinance my home in order to get this plugin for After Effects. And then they proceed to not give the tutorial. They only give the tutorial with the plugin. Awesome. Great. So you have to look up, this is your prerequisites. If you want to work on an After Effects video and find a good tutorial, it has to be 1, 7 minutes at most. Number 2, in the title it has to say no plugins. I was trying to think of a third one. I can't. Number 3, no Blender. You don't have to use Blender for this. Oh my God. 5 hours. I was working on getting the Arya Stark blind eye effect, and it was the worst tutorial I had ever used in my entire life. I was smashing my hand onto on my desk. Cause there's good tutorials, and it'll walk you through. It's a good mix between thinking it's your first time ever looking at After Effects, and also like not knowing every single line of code that goes into After Effects, right? And that's a good in between, and it's easy, and it's just like tracking and masking. And then you get into these 25-minute tutorials, and you get a plugin that's worth $1,000. Your computer has gone beyond. The fans are whirling so hard that it's blown the top of your PC off. It's hit the ceiling. It's cut through your water lines. I don't know if there's water lines in the ceiling. Probably in apartments. It's cut through the water line in the ceiling. It's smacked into the fire sprinkler system. You're getting showered on by this sewage system water. And you're 2 minutes in, and you're lost. That was the most mad I've been. And then it occurs to me after 5 hours, I go, the Arya Stark white eye effect is not the same as the Warging eye effect that brand does. What a waste of time. How did I get that mixed up? Because I've already shot the video. It's in After Effects. I'm not gonna reshoot it. I was supposed to post this video 3 hours ago, and I'm 2 minutes in this 25-minute tutorial. And then it occurs to me I'm not even doing the right effect. Working is when your eyes go into the back of your head. Not the milk white blind eyes Arya gets when talking to the no-faced men that never has any relevance ever. Right. Cool. Thank God. So, listen, that's a very niche problem, but I hate After Effects tutorials. And if I was going to outsource one thing, two things, it's anything that has to do with art. I can't do art. I will always have my own thumbnail artist because I will never be able to draw myself or whatever. And the other one is, I need someone to do Blender. I would like to learn Blender, but it's beyond that in my life. It's beyond. I understand now. Old dogs don't get new tricks. It's over for me. I'm cooked. I'm too busy with other shit. I can't learn Blender. I'm beyond that. I see Blender tutorials, and I like it because it's fun to watch. And it's also a reminder that I don't want to learn it. There's so much you can do with it, though. And it's great. So that's what I've been dealing with. A lot. I was going to have a news segment to update you guys on what's going on in the world. The world in general. Welcome to my full news podcast. The problem is that I don't see any. I don't see anything that's new. I was looking throughout the week, and it was it's a lot of just ways to play better, which is better, XP or milestone. I don't even want to read that. That was posted 37 minutes ago. So as of right now, there's nothing really to say. Is this going to be a short episode? I don't know. I guess I have to. Oh my God. The California Reuben's killing me. Oh my God. For those who didn't see, my eyes just rolled into the back of the head. This is for the audio listeners. My eyes just rolled back into the back of my head and my heart stopped. I guess we're going to have to just talk about questions. Let's just do that. Hi, Zach. 10-year DM here. Some time ago, I ran a 4-year homebrew campaign with 6 players. Puts in brackets, yes, pain. I say 8 players is where I get to yes, pain. And if I said anything else differently before, don't quote me on that. Don't ever quote me. It was a lot of fun, but I was bad at storytelling. Every story beat was just whatever I thought was cool that month, and I only had vague ideas of the overarching plot. After some burnout and running D&D modules for a few years, I've returned to homebrew, and I feel like a new DM. I've been building everything around the story and narrative themes like found family. How cute. I still world build a lot, but I try to make sure it all feeds back to the core narrative and honestly feels like I've leveled up. Shout out to Brandon Sanderson's lectures. Cool. Yeah. I love this. That's so good. Can I get me alone in my room? Can we get someone over here? Can we get someone over here? Send this person $5 million. Get this person a plugin for After Effects. Notice how he said, shout out to Brandon Sanderson's lectures. This entire question is about pacing of a story, not a D&D game. I mean, yes, it's about a D&D game and whatever, but listens to Brandon Sanderson's lectures on the idea of what it means to be, of a story, of a regular, not a D&D game. I love this. I love that, right? And pacing is a big thing with D&D, and especially campaign, because a lot of people are going from the fact that they've never written a book before. They've never written a short story unless it was like 4th grade talking about your family Christmas as a kid, right? You're talking about, putting up, you're playing Minecraft, C418 music's playing, your parents are arguing in the background. They come down, Zach, your parents were getting a divorce. Mom, I found diamonds. What the hell am I talking about? This is what I love. And we go into the idea of going from writing nothing to a full epic. And guess what? It's not just for yourself. There's going to be an audience, and it's going to be your best friends. You know the people, maybe you slipped, maybe one time you were in a Ralph's and you grabbed grape jelly, a glass jar of grape jelly, and you put it in your cart on the top part of your cart, and it rolls off and smashes on the ground. So you leave it, you quickly, you go blind, you black out. You're like, oh my God, I gotta leave. Grab another, place it the exact same place, rolls off, smashes on the ground. You look around, there's 7 people in the aisle. You grab another one, throw it in the cart, and you run. And you run. But you're like, hey, no one's ever gonna know. I might show up on American's Funniest Home Videos. Maybe someone has security cam footage of it, right? But your friends will never know. They'll never know. They'll never know. So instead, you write an epic. You write Odysseus' epic, and you show them to your friends and family, the people you love and see the most. And you have no experience. So listen to Brandon Sanderson's lectures, all right? Do you guys know he's Mormon? It's always so interesting when people find that out. I think he has a thing on his website why he's Mormon. But I love that, right? Because you're like, I have a problem with pacing for my long epic adventure. I'm writing the equivalent of the Odyssey. Notice how I'm not saying, the Epic of Gilgamesh. See, I'm well read. And I'm writing the equivalent of that 4 times over, 8 times over, really, honestly. So maybe I could use some help with pacing. Yeah, I think I can understand your problem, right? I think I can understand where the problem stems from. Oh my God, I'm dying, dude. Everything in my body's fighting against me. My players have embraced it, but one isn't really buying in. Oh, this is weird. This turned into a different question, I feel like. His backstory is, I was kidnapped, I want to go home. Whoa. Oh, how awful. Where can that even lead thematically? That you get Stockholm syndrome to the point that you have a new family? I guess I can understand where this player's coming from, which is that they're like, well, if the themes... Are you talking in your session 0 about your themes, though? Like, my theme of my last campaign came out of regret, and each player character was a representation of another form of regret. And that wasn't planned, really, right? It was coincidentally, each of them had their own form. Regret, it was regret and redemption, right? Do you follow the point of regret and beat yourself up, or do you follow through, realize the past is the past and you can always grow and learn as a person? And that organically came up through the backstories of my players, right? So it was like, redemption through, revenge. What does that look like? Redemption through, maybe it's like you are someone else's redemption. You are the point of redemption for your parents, things like that. And that organically came up. I of course took their backstories, and I saw kind of a overarching theme, an overarching line, and I integrated my own themes into it. But that came up organically. So I'm wondering here in this situation that you were like, I want to make a story about organic family. What is it called? A found family, right? And then they're like, maybe I can have a character that was kidnapped and they want to go home. And then they learn that like their captors are actually their found family. And I don't know about the legitimacy of that theme. You can disagree with themes. I've learned about that. It's kind of like that thing in Trailer Park Boys, where Ricky's like, I'm smart. This thing's probably smarter than me. I'm smarter than a plant, but I'm probably smarter than this thing. It's like, because it's got a battery in it. It's like a clock. Listen, everything you listen to or read or whatever, you don't have to agree with the themes of them, right? Well, I got to listen to this. It's a New York Times bestseller. No, you can disagree with it. And I feel like, yeah, that's a side tangent. We don't do side tangents in this show. I pushed him to add some drama, but he just stuck with that. We're 5 sessions in, and his character's pretty uninterested in the core story. Curious about your thoughts. Appreciate the vids, and keep it sturdy. I'm going to hurt my spine doing that. Yeah, it's weird. 2 different things. Like, it's a pacing thing, and it's just a character not really caring. I guess that goes into stakes, and we've talked about stakes a lot in the last couple episodes, so I won't really get into that. So go look into that. But for pacing-wise, right? let's stick on the topic of pacing. I feel like I haven't talked about pacing a lot. I would look at like pacing from a television standpoint, arcs, villains. How long is everything going to go? This is how I outlined my last campaign. It was 3 arcs, and yes, you can consider it a fetch quest. And I was serious about that in my actual video, where I hate when people say they're fetch quests and whatever. Like, there is you. I don't know, whatever. But it was 1 arc. Where they defeated 1 villain, and then they went into the next arc, and they defeated a villain, and then but there was an overarching framework, and it was kind of pushed in, and I think that really works. But I've also separated those into 3 books, right? So I separated like book 1 is this, book 2 is this, book 3 is this. And look at good things that have good things. Look at good things. Look at good literature. Let me think. I should put my friggin' PhD in the background. Look at good sources of media that you find have good pacing. And depending on the length of your campaign, right, follow the pacing of other things that are of equivalent length, right? It's hard for me to say, I'm going to get flack for this, but like pacing in shonen anime. The pacing in shonen anime isn't always known to be great. Unless you're a One Piece fan and you think everything is awesome in it and the pacing is amazing. Oh, I'm going to get flack. Oh, it's here. It's whatever. No shade to anything like that, but I understand. But right, listen, right? Have your arcs. Have your tournament arc. Just kidding. Do not have PvP in your games. I'm against that. But watch your show. Like Chernobyl tells a whole story. The HBO show, oh my God, highly recommend HBO show. Chernobyl shows this whole thing in 4 episodes, right? And the pacing's phenomenal. And it's literally all literature is, and I'll be talking about this on my TED Talk, all literature is exposition, rising action to climax, down to falling action, denouement, whatever that French word is. And inside of that, and each part of that, is another set of that. Don't quote me. Inside of that is another set of that. What are you talking about? Inside each story structure are more story structures, right? And each battle is another story structures. It's just a Kalishka doll. What is that Russian doll? Russian doll within doll name. I know this because of Black Ops 1. Oh, Matryoshka. It's like a Matryoshka doll of story structure, right? You have the big framework, and that's going to have a story structure. And then you have 3 arcs, and that will have story structure. And you open up to the smaller doll, and it'll have 7 arcs, right? You get down to each beat, and that's how, and it's just so human of us. And did that sound more philosophical if I said that at the end? I appreciate your question. I don't know if I said your name, but whatever. You put it in. Sorry. Monsieur Baldonado. Good day. Sending you a D&D question from Seattle, Washington. Shout out Seattle. I love Seattle, actually. I love Seattle as a city. I think it's cool to be by the water, and you see the first Starbucks, and it's busy, and there's a line down the road. Is that still open? I haven't been to Seattle in a while. And there's another Starbucks right next to it if you actually want to get coffee, right? If you just want to get coffee, there's never a line there. And there's people are throwing fish back and forth. And there's nature in the city. I don't know about driving around Seattle. It's very steep, but I like the nature in the city. And it makes me feel like, right, what I expected to be as an established 26-year-old is to, wear a Patagonia vest and a white long sleeve, and I hike on the weekends, and I golf without crashing a golf cart, and I have and I like charcuterie and wine. And instead, I am smoking. I don't smoke cigarettes, actually, unless you get a couple friggin' beers in me, let me tell you. But I'm like in front. I'm playing arena in my pajamas, and it's 4 p.m. and I'm getting mad about I was gonna say like superhero discussions online, but I don't know anything about superheroes. So, But I love Seattle. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm losing it, dude. I was poisoned. The California friggin'. Anyways. Your recent rant about combat in D&D made me think of when I was a total Pathfinder cuck. Okay, their words, not mine. All right, their words, not mine. And would endlessly cope about D&D combat being bad and poorly structured. Okay, this I agree with, though. We've talked about it before. All right? Don't be a Pathfinder bro that everything else sucks, but D&D's bad. We've talked about that a million times. And when I talked about Pathfinder, and I like Pathfinder, but I think it's fine. Actually, Doc, this D&D combat, it does suck. Shut up. But thinking back to my favorite combat encounters in TT games, tabletop games, it wasn't due to mechanics that I was having fun. It was to the excellent DM telling a fun story. It was cool narrative and cinematic moments, and even stuff as simple as my barbarian character snapping Wolf's neck and crushing Wolf's spines in a different way than everyone else for the first combat encounter. Recently came back with it into it with Fiasco, which is an all improv and role play, as well as helping my longtime DM play test his homebrew system, which has the gimmick of TCG-esque system of spell and equipment cards and gems. Supposed to playing Clash Royale as a TTRPG. I'm a total noob when it comes to TCG. Only ever played Planeswalker back in the day, but it's a fine system, I'm told. That's how I am too. Someone will tell me, I'm like, yeah, it's a great TTRPG, so I'm told. Gosh, I'm falling apart. My main problem so far is that my DM is so focused in on running the mechanics of his new system. I think the cinematic flair is non-existent. Trying to get descriptive actions out of him feels like pulling teeth. The first boss we fought was just a health bar. Ooh, bars. The first boss I just fought was a health bar. Damn. I feel like I'm fighting a health bar. Damn. It felt like those super old... Never write in a question that says super in it, because then it sounds like I'm saying it, and I'm trying to get better with English. I see My Fair Lady yesterday. I want to be elegant. Super old NES turn-based combat games where they only had room to animate one pixel of the sword swinging, and then it was coming to the roleplay of the next scene. It's how Goombas were made in the NES in the original Super Mario Bros. It's one image, and they just flip it back and forth, and that's how it's walking. I try and drop hints and prop for big dramatic flair moments, but I feel like I get nothing back at all. Even some flavor for my abilities or other characters' abilities. One dude is essentially a metal bender. Mistborn reference? And other users ricochets off bullets, but it just feels like we might as well be throwing 1d10 firebolts and the champion fighter gets to attack twice this round. Dang! This guy's spewing fire! Heat. What's your opinion on this? Should DMs always put forth effort? Oh my gosh. For dramatic flair, am I going to get the confetti cannon shot in my face? No. This is what I say. It's like, listen, it's like acting, right? If you don't know your lines, you're going to be concentrating on remembering your lines instead of acting them, right? You're going to be telling your lines because you're thinking and stuttering and what if I mess up my lines? It's the same way with a TTRPG system, right? I always say you can go into any TTRPG and know the rules loosely. And I think there are better TTRPGs for that, and I think there are worse TTRPGs for that. But D&D is the one I can confidently say that if you listen to enough actual plays, you get a general sense of how the game works. When I first played D&D, I didn't know how AC worked. And when one of my players said, what is my AC for? I lied to them and said, I got it all back here. No, don't you worry. I'm lying. It's about playing the game. However, if you want to run a better game, if you want to run a better combat and a nicer time, you need to know your lines. You need to not be able to have to think about the rules, right? And you can homebrew, and you can make up rules and don't care about some rules and whatever. But in order to do that correctly, you need to know the rules first, all right? So your DM is having a hard time, and give them a couple sessions. Now, if you're 20 sessions in, and they can't remember the rules still, and then it's a problem, because it's getting in your way, right? Of having a good story. And you can always add your flair and whatever. Your DM does not need to explain your combat. They can, but it's also your character, okay? But your DM needs to learn the system. Once you learn the system, right, that's how you should look at it, right? If you have the basics, you can run a game, but you need to know the system to tell a story better. Put that on a shirt, all right? I experienced ego death at My Fair Lady. I need you to have those bars. So that's an integral thing. To play a TTRPG is not to know every rule, but if you want to tell a better story, know the rules so you can mend them. My head's buzzing again. The numbers, Mason. What do they mean? Yeah. So add to it. Add to what you want to see in this world. Describe what your character's fighting, and more should come out of that. Anything else I want to say? Let me dig in my brain. No confetti cannon in your face. I think that's a fair assessment. I would say threshold 5 4-hour sessions. If beyond 5 4-hour sessions they don't have their combat system right, their trading card game. And I made a trading card game. I don't think I've ever talked about that. I made a trading card game solely. I made, I think, 250 cards in a trading card game, and I didn't have any trading card game experience. And I made one and I laminated all the cards and everything. They look like garbage. I drew everything to make for a TTRPG. And I wasn't going to sell it anywhere. I was very bored. It was COVID, of course, right? And those things are hard. I think I could make a better one now. Never would I. I do not want to do that. I talked to Brian Kibler, about, because he's so smart, dude. But sometimes he consults for card games, and he talks to me about it, and I'm like, man, that's intricate. A lot of math and thinking. And as you guys know, listening to this, I don't do any of that. Have I ever talked about math? I used to be an engineer major in college. I did one semester, and the workload wasn't the reason I got out of engineering. It was mostly the people. I went to a factory in Holland, Michigan, that's really big for the area, called Gentex. My God, could you imagine if a Gentex worker is like, what? Listening to this out of nowhere? But essentially, I think they make car mirrors, and it was like a job fair event that I was doing to be like, this is what you do as an engineer. And listen, God bless our engineers. I couldn't do it. It was really the people. It was this very shy, introverted man. And he's like, this is my office. I've been in here for 40 years. This is my bobblehead. And look what he does. And and whatever. And yeah, I've just been working in here for whatever. And I didn't want that life. And I want to be real that, I keep touching my nose. People are going to think I'm doing blow. I'm not. And it was just like, oh, I'm working very hard for the consistency of an engineering job, the comfort of an engineering job, and I don't think I want that life. So that's actually when I moved to film school. Was pretty much 2 days after that. So, but yeah, I don't talk about math. I'm not good at it anymore. But if I really set my mind to it, then I am. There's more to this question. On the one hand, I'm consistently sacrifice my Thursday nights to help playtest your homebrew, and I like something beyond the raw numbers. Give me the opportunity to get drawn into combat. Let me imagine it with my mind's eye. On the other, I'm trying to make a system from essentially scratch that's stressful, and I don't want to add additional burden to make sure me specifically is having a good time when the other players seem fine when the combat flow in place. Talk behind your DM's back to your other players and be like, hey, isn't this a problem? Isn't this a problem? And you slither up to them. And create division in your friend group. I'm not saying, by the way, that you're doing this. It's I would say, set a mental threshold until you bring up, and then maybe if they get more comfortable, they get comfortable with it. But it can, 4 Thursdays are a full month, so that's a lot of time. What if I just pass out? What if my head just slams into my table? And this is a 4-hour podcast, and I wake up. What happened? I got a goose egg. Oh, what else? What else am I talking about? I'm lightheaded. I've just been talking too much. Especially since one kind is spicy and the other's flaky. I don't want to add backseat DM to the list. Love the new Patreon video. Patron video. When was this sent? Love the new Patreon. The idea of a patron Ponzi scheme. Oh, the Mr. Cheese video. I'm glad you liked it. It was back to the roots of doing that stuff. I might need to take a break. I'm a little lightheaded. No, we're almost to the end. We can do it. We can do it. I imagine the top is some mechanicus dweeboid packed to the Eldritch, turning random were creatures into servants, the old gods, and the middle management. I originally wanted to have that video where there's a scene in iCarly where Gibby falls from the ceiling, and that stunt double literally broke a bunch of ribs falling to the ground. But I thought it'd be just so funny if a patron was just like, or a warlock was like, patron! And they fall, Gibby! And they fall from the ceiling. One day we'll get there. From Seattle with Love. Is this the same guy who said, yeah, okay, yeah. I almost just went, the other question was from Seattle. No, it was all the same question. Hello, Mr. Bold. I just finished a 1.5 year long campaign, but throughout this campaign, I've had to kick 3 problems. The first player, I had a lone wolf character, oh my God, and refused to speak to the party no matter what. Okay, whatever. Some people, listen, all your players don't have to speak. There are players that will just sit back and watch, and that's okay. But if they're being like an edgy, I'm a lone wolf and I will not. That's a totally different thing. The second one was an MC player. MC player was an MC player. Minecraft? The second one was an MC player who ignored the plot. Main character player. I'm so good. Who ignored the plot and would always... Sometimes if you read the context, it tells you. It's like how reading works. And would always split the party to go do their own thing. They'd also switch their characters' personalities on the spot. One moment they would be a wise sage, and the next a fey jokester. Sometimes I'm like this. Sometimes I can't keep a character consistent because I'm having a little bit of a bit. I'm doing a little bit of a bit. My girlfriend always says that if we were in Victorian era, that we'd go to the doctor and she'd be like, "Doctor, please, my husband has a case of the bits," and I'm in the corner, bazinga, bazinga. But that is not what triggered it the most. It was when I would tell them, no, you can't do that. And they would respond with, well, if I were the DM, I would allow that. Yeah, you take a baseball bat and you, like Patrick in SpongeBob, like the bowling ball falling on Patrick and his teeth go out. I do not encourage violence. Don't do that. Take a confetti cannon and shoot it in his face. The funny thing, the reason I chose this question was because of something I want to talk about otherwise. And I hope I didn't talk about this in the podcast before, is shapeshifters, changelings. I am in Chaos Theory, which is an actual play, and Sarah, who plays a changeling in the show, does a wonderful job. And I'm sure there's people who also do a wonderful job. So, with that, and if Sarah, if you are listening to this is not about you. You are actually the best changeling player I've ever come across. So I'm going to box that up. I'm going to box you up, and I'm going to push you in the corner, all right? And I don't want to hear it. I hate changelings in Dungeons and Dragons or any TTRPG because without limit, they're able to change their entire character. And 99.9% of the time, they are a different character than their actual character. So I have one player who is bouncing around 4,000 personalities, and I get nothing consistent from them. Nothing. They have no character. It never does anything from the story. Instead, at will, they're able to change it to 1 million different characters, and they never stick with one. And I hate it. I don't know if I don't allow changelings at the table. That's my biggest thing. I don't allow power clerics, changelings, or do I allow artificers? Artificers are strong, man. Seriously. I don't know if you guys ever played with a rogue artificer. They're strong. There's something else. I haven't like started a new campaign in a year, so I haven't thought about what I don't allow. And maybe Twilight clerics. There's a lot. There's some strong stuff. I can get around it. A lot of stuff has to do with lore. I ban a lot of lore spells. But changelings, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to deal with the logistics of you being a changeling. I don't want to have to deal with anything of you being a changeling. I don't like them. I don't encourage them. It can be played well, but I don't come under the preconceived notion that one of my players will play a changeling well. So this third player was competitive player and an edgelord. He would always try to be better than the rest of the players. Vertical magical items. Who is your group? Who are your group? You have a stew of like the worst ingredients. Competitive player and edgelord. He'd always try to be better. It's so weird being into Magic now and seeing competitive players in D&D. It's a cooperative game. He would always try to be better than the rest. I recently learned there's Baldur's Gate PvP tournaments. What? I didn't know that. That makes more sense. Crazy. I should look into that scene. He would always try to be better than the rest of the players via magical items or trying to strike a deal with an NPC behind their back. When he didn't get his way, he betrayed the party twice and got both of his characters killed. My question is, how do you spot problem players before they become a problem, since at the start none of these players showed any bad signs? Sometimes I know my friends enough that I know they would be problem players, and that creates like how serious I want this campaign to be, if it's a one-shot, if it's whatever. You can probably identify in a session 0 who's going to be a problem player, but it's also just one of those things that you'll get blindsided. You'll be blindsided. You'll think this player is the best player in the world, and next thing you know, they're the worst. They are a competitive edgelord. Listen, the switching character personalities, I'm just, I'm defending myself. Sometimes I'm having a little bit of a lazy day. I've had a good night's sleep. I've eaten really well. And, I want to be a little silly goofy. I can't lock in like I haven't had any sleep. I just finished a 1.5 year long campaign, but throughout this campaign, and then what's the other one? And then the lone wolf. Listen, there's a difference between lone wolf players and players who are just there for fun. There's players that will go against the party and do their own thing, and then there's people who will just sit in the back and they bring chips and beer, and that's cool. And don't make fun of this player. Make an argument, right? Make an argument against me why you don't want your friend to be at the table because they don't want to role play. You can encourage them. It's always encouraged, right? But they're not a bad player for not wanting to engage every 5 seconds. There are spotlight players and there are background players, and that will always be a thing. And sometimes you'll have all spotlight. Never matter. There's no way of going about. I mean, you can play one-shots before you want to solidify a full campaign. That's some advice. Do some test groups with some players. Some people don't have enough players to even do test groups. So you have to take what you got. And then that's when we learn that confrontation. D&D is a confrontation exercise. And you got to talk to your friends and be a little aggressive and be a little in their face. P.S. Thank you for the amazing content. Keep going bold. Thank you. We're going to get into the donations. Blue Bread 3447 sent $10 as a blue-collar worker. I'm glad you finally get some recognition in this community. I'm glad. As a blue-collar worker, I'm glad you finally get some recognition in this community. Of course. Thank you for your service. I appreciate you. Ryder Logan Mead sent 50 Canadian. Big 50. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. He said, thanks. Thank you. Really appreciate you. Cosmic Trimmel sent $5 back the gold. I really don't have anything to say here. Your 40K references make me laugh every time I hear them. May your holes be well. Oh, may your hotels be well put together and have actual windows next time. Yeah, for real. For real. I've already PAX Unplugged. I'll be at PAX Unplugged. I've already gotten my hotel. All right. And it is not a La Quinta in an hour away. MedRoute 98 sent 30 shekels. Love your work, man. Keep on yapping. God bless. Thank you. Appreciate it. Papillon, again, with another 10. Thank you. I think it's funny how Zach writing advice this episode boiled down to setting up your mystery box TM. Setting up your mystery box TM. Which makes sense since J.J. Abrams is a serial TV show writer and D&D sessions are essentially weekly episodes, and the DM and players are colluding together to produce. TM, Mystery Box TM. I don't know. Mystery Box TM? Is this like a yandere thing? What's a yandere, by the way? Mystery Box TM. What does that mean? I see a Rat and Link video. I don't know what this is. I'm sorry. I'm not smart enough to know what that is. I'm so stupid. Thank you for the 10. Burning Blaze 005 sent $5. Hello there, Nome Alamo. I love Chaos Theory. For those who don't know, Chaos Theory is an actual play I'm in. I think it's very fun. You should give it a listen. Been listening to it when your podcast, waiting for your podcast, but I'm on the second to last episode that's out, and there's Nome and Oon starting their preliminaries. A Terminant arc. Loving it so much, and I love Nome so much, and I haven't seen that other guy, Eamon, anywhere lately. So Eamon has a alter ego. I pretty much play the scout from TF2, and then he has an alter ego that turns into Foghorn Leghorn. So I guess Nome is the main character now, as he should be. Anyway, love your stuff, and keep at it, and please make more Chaos Theory soon. I'm running out of it. Well, our season is done, and we'll see when we start up again. $5 from Blue Bread 3447. Did he send 2? He said 10? Oh, cool. Oh, thank you again thank you, Blue Bread. I prefer not enough mana. There isn't enough drinking in Heroes to get anywhere. Heroes of Arcadia. Also sent in a question. Hope you get to it. Yep. Oh, I forgot a bumped question. We'll get to next podcast. We will. Yeah, there is not enough drinking in Heroes of Arcadia, but you drink on the side. The Kaizen 91 sent £5, £5, fine, whatever, and said, my show is on, I'm locked in. Thank you, Kaizen 91, and thank you to everybody who donated. Thank you guys so much for the love on the last video. Don't make fun of the thumbnail. Send in your questions, sticky situations, red flag moments to BoldTakes at outlook.com. And I appreciate all you guys being here. It is going to be a busy week again. Who knows what's in store for us for next week? And if I come back and I have nothing to talk about, it's because I've been inside all day trying to figure out what to do about everything that I got to do. So thank you again, guys, for all the love. I will see you next week. Have a great week. Have a great Monday. I love you. And bye.